Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Sorry for my delay. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, how the sound is, and yeah, let me know if this is working. Hello, I see some people joining in. Okay. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Yeah. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for joining live, and welcome to everybody who will be watching this as a recording. Today, we're going to talk about how to get the UK Global Talent Visa in digital technology in 2025. I try to do this kind of webinar live stream 2 or 3 times a year. This is a free event where you can ask me any questions you want about the visa. Ideally, the questions are not super personalized, so they are valuable to others as well. So to kick this off, first off, I do want you to be sociable and write something in chat. Tell us where you are joining from, and then also what you do. If I have an idea of who is watching this live, maybe I can give more information that is more relevant for you. So, if we have software engineers, I can give more examples about coding. If we have designers or product people, I can give better examples as well. So yeah, I see we have somebody joining from London. Yeah, send in more answers. I will introduce myself for people who are new. Maybe you're just the first time you are on my YouTube channel. Welcome. I'm really glad to see you join. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can find a lot of free content about the Global Talent Visa on this channel. A lot of tutorials, explainers, and then also live streams, interviews with people who have gotten the visa themselves, either my clients or just people in the Global Talent Visa community. I'm Nadia. I have done a lot of things up to this moment. I have worked as a software engineer in big tech companies as well as small companies too. I have been a startup founder, a journalist, a translator. I've published a book, and I've also been a career coach for people in tech. Most relevant for this is that I'm a UK Global Talent Visa recipient and coach. I got the visa myself in 2022 as a software engineer, and since then, somehow I started coaching people on this topic. It came from my desire to share information on this YouTube channel, and then people started asking me to help them. So basically, it's been over 400 clients since then. So I've coached people in different walks of life, either software engineers, designers, product managers, people who work in sales, people who work in marketing. So basically, any business or tech role in product-led companies, I feel like I've coached in some shape or form up to now. But also, even if you don't see your job here, it doesn't mean that I won't be able to help you. The process is quite similar between different between different professions. I'm just reading your answers in chat. So we have people joining from London, software engineer, more people from London, data engineer, product manager, also London, PhD student from Scotland. That's great. Let us know what you do study. What is your PhD in? So we have somebody from Egypt, software engineer from India, but studied in London. Great. So I'm seeing a lot of software engineers here and some project managers as well. Great. All right. Continue answering the questions if you want. So I think the big question for everybody watching this is, can you get the Global Talent Visa? And maybe first, why should I get it? I don't want to, go into a lot of detail about why the visa is great. I think if you're here, you know the advantages, right? The visa gives you so many opportunities. It gives you freedom. It gives you flexibility. You don't need the sponsorship from an employer. You can do your own thing. You can study. You can take a break from work. You can have your own business. So it gives you the most flexibility. So it is the best visa. So the question of whether you can get it is really complex, and I like the idea of the questionnaires or like checklists or assessments that exist online where you can assess your eligibility in 15 minutes or like for free or whatever. I would say the answer is really much more nuanced. I think it's really easy to get incorrect information if you use very quick tools like this. And this is not me trying to make it very complicated so that you buy my discovery call, although if you're interested in the visa, you totally should buy it. It mostly is because it is quite the process has become so complicated. Like in 2025, I think even understanding whether you are eligible for the visa has become so complex that you really need to, most often you need to talk to somebody to really understand whether you have enough to get endorsed and how can you use what you have to get endorsed. Right? So it is a complex question. If you want any, the freshest, the most up-to-date information about the visa, check out TechNation Visa Guide. You can just Google it, TechNation Visa Guide. This is the single source of truth. It is indeed a Notion page. So if you see a Notion page and you think that it can't be that, but no, it is a Notion page. It is the official guidance. So currently it looks the way it looks on the screen. The latest update was the 4th of August in 2025. So quite recent, actually. Make sure you check out the change log so you can see what changed once you are doing the research. But first, I recommend consuming like general information like this webinar or more information on my channel where things are explained in very practical and clear terms. This guide, I would say, is super useful. And I mean, obviously, it is your main source of information. Like your main source of information shouldn't be somebody on YouTube or on a forum or something like that, right? You should always consult with this guide. This is the official information. And then everything else you can pick and choose who you trust. Look at people's reviews, look at their track record of doing stuff, and then make your own judgment. So TechNation is the organization that grants endorsements for this visa. They divide people into two sorts of candidates, right? So you have the technical candidates and the business candidates. I don't think you should worry about it too much, whether you're technical or business, but you can see on the screen some ideas of what technical candidates can be. So, these are all kinds of software engineers. And here they go into detail, like what kind of software engineer you can be. Designers are here as well, mobile developers, backend developers. So like front-end developers, backend developers are listed separately. But basically, if you're a coder working in a product company, this visa can be a good match. Then if you're a CTO or like a founder of technical founder of a company, this can be used as well. And for business candidates, this is basically pretty much any role in a product-led company. So this can be people who do sales, people who work in marketing, people who are product managers, and a bunch of other specialties, right? So you can take a look at it now or later as well. Also, what I usually do on the webinars is I ask people to write this in chat, but you guys have already done that, so that's great. There have been some more people joining, right? We have, let me see who we have. Okay, so we have software engineer. I already read this. Okay, yeah. So general engineer from Scotland. Good. Yeah. So if you're joining just now, just let us know your main skill or like your profession in chat so that we know how you'll be applying. Also, if something is not clear for what I'm saying, please just drop your questions in the comments. I will see if I can answer them quickly to not interrupt the flow of conversation, or I will handle them at the end. But don't think that you need to hold off until the end. If you have an idea or a question or concern, just drop it in the comments. I will make sure to at least consider replying to it if it's helpful for others as well. So it's complicated to see who is eligible for the visa. It's much easier to see who is not eligible. So here you can see a bunch of specialties that are not suitable or not eligible for the visa. So you can see junior investors and analysts here, and then a bunch of stuff about service delivery, process delivery, outsourcing, consultancy, right? So here I would say it is a very nuanced question again. So consultancies can be very different, and I try not to go into the whole like discussion of what kind of consultant experience is better, which one is worse. I would recommend, if you have consultant experience and if you are seriously considering applying for the visa, reach out to me. My email is underneath this video, and we can take a look at your specific situation. Basically, I don't want you to completely give up on the dream of getting the visa, especially if you have had at least some product experience. So I wouldn't say that like having the consultancy on your resume is, it's like the end of your dream of the visa, but it is much more straightforward to create a convincing case if you have product experience. So in terms of what is a product and what is a consultancy, a product company is a company that is building their own digital product and owns the IP to this product and sells it to customers. That's, I think, the simplest definition. People sometimes struggle with understanding whether it's product or consultancy. I would recommend that if you are really not sure, you either do your own research and you ask Perplexity about it or some other AI, or if you'd like a consultation, we can also have a consultation. But I think this is the point where you can kind of understand your experience yourself, and figure out what to focus on. But bottom line, the takeaway here is that you should focus on product experience, right? So obviously, it's not enough just to have a job somewhere. I feel like sometimes people think that it's enough, that if you have a good job and you work at Google and you make a lot of money, that's enough. No, it's not enough. There is a whole lot of stuff that you need to also do to make the visa happen. There are criteria that you need to meet. Criteria is a topic that really confuses people. I've done hundreds of consultations at this point. People are always very puzzled by what is criteria, what is mandatory, what is optional. I don't want this webinar to be super confusing, and I don't want people like to drop off because this is like too much. So the simplest way I found to explain it is that the criteria is just a category, right? So imagine you have a bunch of different achievements. So you have public speaking, you have awards, you have a patent, you have a whatever. How do you group this together, right? So how do you organize your accomplishments, right? The way to organize them is the criteria. So criteria is like a criterion, right? In the singular. It's like a bucket, basically, category of achievements. So they're divided into mandatory and optional. You don't really have to remember now how many things should be in each document. This is really something that I talk about on the discovery call. So this is what we can talk about if you book a call with me. But here the goal is just to give you like a very high level overview, right? So what exists. So the first thing is the mandatory, right? The mandatory criterion. This is whether you've been recognized as a leader or emerging leader in digital technology within the last 5 years. Here, when you look at this screen, you can take a moment to share in chat or maybe just write, make a note for yourself, whether you have any of those things that you see. So those bullet points, those arrows, I don't know why these are arrows actually, but look at them and just brainstorm right now. You can share it in chat or just privately to yourself, whether you have any of those things, right? So I think a lot of things that people, like most people, will have the leading the growth of a company, right? So if you are like a leader in a company, then you will have some kind of, if you are in a leadership position, right? You will have some kind of proof that you've helped the company grow. And then the last thing here, you can see that there is high salary and stocks. I was debating whether to leave it here or not, but I'll leave it here, but maybe I should delete it. So high salary, it still exists. It still is a document that technician lists as one of the requirements, as one of the options. However, it's not really the same level of importance as other documents in this list. So to me, at this point, it's more of a nice to have, because it's really very seldom that people have salaries that are at the level where they're impressive enough for this criteria. So just, you can use it if you have a slot left, right? So you have 10 documents. If you have filled out 9 slots and you have a slot left, you can, show off your high salary or stock options and, I don't know, cash bonuses. However, the bulk of this is actually the external recognition, right? So here you can see open source. We have developers here. So actually, let me know if you do open source. Awards. This can be any kind of industry award. It cannot be internal. There can be hackathons or other competitions, right? Public speaking is a really strong thing that you can use for mandatory. Media mentions, which is interviews. So if you're interviewed on a podcast, on the YouTube channel, if in a newspaper, on TV or radio or print. So thought leadership. If you write articles that have some kind of pre-moderation, so if you just publish something on LinkedIn, it's not what they're looking for. But if it's a serious article published on some industry platform where there is an editor selecting articles, you can use that. And then also if you've written a book, for instance, and it's been it's easy now to write books, right, and to publish them. But if you've written a book that went through some serious publication process and that has received some recognition in the industry, you can use this as well. Judging the work of others, being a judge at hackathons, competitions, events, this can be used as well. Or if there is a, professional association and you need to judge somebody's projects or submissions or business plans, this can work as well. So I'll open the chat now. What do you guys think about this criteria? Do you have any ideas for what you're gonna use here? Okay, let me see what questions we have. Okay, so we have somebody from under cybersecurity. Great. Hello, Austin. Okay, let me hide this one for now. Okay, yeah, for sure, QA engineers are eligible. This is an engineering specialty, right? So you can use it as well. Let me know, guys, about the mandatory. So what you see on the screen, does anything look promising? Do you have any examples like this? Please share. If you have questions, also drop them in. I'll go for the next criteria. So next, what comes is 4 criteria. So criteria is a bucket again. So you don't have to meet all of them, right? So the first thing that we discussed, so like the previous slide, you have to meet this. Like you cannot skip it. You cannot just forget about it. You have to meet this criteria. Then you have 4 criteria, and you only need to meet 2 of them, right? So now you will see 4 options, and you just need to meet 2. So you have some flexibility. If you're struggling with choosing the criteria, I can help you do this at a discovery session. Again, my email is in the description on YouTube. Just email me and we can set up a call. So the first one is innovation. It is a complex criteria where you have to show that you worked somewhere. Maybe it was a company that you founded. Maybe it was somebody else's company that was building an innovative product. And you have to be able to make a case that this was truly an innovation. Maybe it was a technical innovation. It was a technical breakthrough. It was invention, right? Or maybe the product was innovative, right? So maybe this was a kind of product that has never before existed in your country or in the world. In the world is much less likely. I would say most of my clients focused on innovation within a country. And, typically that's enough. Apart from this thing being innovative and new and like unique, you also need to provide proof, tangible proof that this is something that is innovative. So, media mentions in the industry can work. Reference letters from industry leaders that can talk about your product being innovative. Although a reference letter is usually, I would say, not enough. I'm now thinking that this slide is a little bit misleading. So a reference letter and a grant or a patent, they don't have the same weight, right? So anything that is external, that is externally verifiable and let's say objective, like a patent, is much more valuable than a letter, because you can get a letter from anybody saying anything, right? So the value of a letter is going down with years. I would say 3 years ago, a letter was really significant. Nowadays, letters are not, let's say, given that much weight. So you need external proof of innovation. So media mentions in tech publications or innovation grant or innovation award, you can use those kind of things. It's a complicated criteria. I have helped a lot of people get it. I would say a lot of specialists in this field, a lot of lawyers or coaches, they don't really touch this criteria at all, because I feel like people don't really understand how to make it work. For me, I like the challenge sometimes of doing the innovation criteria. It kind of takes a lot of energy and time to make it work. However, if you think about it, this criteria is good if you don't have much of a public profile, because this is all about your work, your company, or your job. So it can save the situation for somebody who is maybe struggling with other criteria. So takeaway from this is you've worked on things that were innovative and you can prove it. If you're applying for a talent route, you have to show a track record of innovation. For promise, usually one example is enough, but you still need to submit 2 documents for the innovation criteria. So think about it as 2 or 3 documents about innovations. Let me know if this makes sense, because I know innovation criteria is just, it's a tough one. Okay, so we're moving on to the second criteria. Okay, great. I'm seeing more questions. More questions coming in. Okay, so there's a question that's relevant for the mandatory criteria. If you've been shortlisted for an international award, can I use that despite not winning? So I would say it depends on the context of it, right? So it depends on what the shortlist is, how big it is, and how difficult it is to be shortlisted, right? So everything in context. If you can make a case that being shortlisted shows you as a talent, then you can probably use it as one of the evidences. However, I think it's clear that winning an award is much better than being shortlisted. So it depends on, okay, so I will be like a broken record here. The answer to a lot of those questions are, like the honest answer is it depends. And to answer you precisely, I would need to look at everything else that you have. So in some cases, if an award is prestigious and it's hard to be shortlisted, we would use it. If it's not prestigious and it's quite easy to be shortlisted and you have better evidence, we won't use it, right? So it's a balancing act here. So the second criteria is external, right? So have you been recognized for what you've done outside of your job? So you have your job, you have your 9 to 5, and then you have your free time where you do things just to help the community. So this is free stuff, like volunteering, free work that you do just because you want to help people, you want to teach people to code and help them advance in their careers. So here you can see some examples. This is not an exhaustive list, and also like you don't have to have all of those things, right? So typically people would have 2 or 3 examples. 2 is the minimum that you need to submit per criteria. I don't recommend you going with the minimum. I think it's good to have an extra document. So 3 documents is a nice number, nice approach. So look at this list and you can let me know in the chat. Maybe you can just write it for yourself. Do you have any of those things, already? So again, public speaking comes up here. Publications and opinion pieces, articles that you publish can be used here. Again, they still have to be pre-moderated. They have to be serious. They have to carry some kind of weight. I think if you don't need to be a lawyer or like a fancy, I don't know, visa coach to judge whether something is serious or not. Just use your common sense, right? If you have articles that are published in a serious publication, they look, again, serious, kind of blanking out for other words here. But if it looks like something that is not basic, that is not like introductory material, and it doesn't look like it was just written to support the application in the last week before the applying, you can use it. And the same applies for other stuff like public speaking. We are hoping to see public speaking that you have done at major tech events, where you're delivering a keynote presentation, where you are not just on the stage with 6 other people at a panel, or not a workshop or like side event. Those things, they can be used in the application. They have its own place. However, if you are lacking other evidences, especially, I would recommend that you have something serious in terms of public speaking too. So other things that are, I would say, around teaching, mentoring, sharing knowledge with others, organizing communities, advising startups, being part of professional clubs, but also contributing to them. All those things can be used here. Basically, any kind of volunteering that you do to advance the field of tech. And ask yourself the question, what is the impact of this? Just mentoring somebody randomly here and there doesn't really do the trick. So write down any evidence that you have from the previous slide and share it in chat if you want. Okay, I don't know if somebody will share it or not. Also, I forgot to say, I know that the number of people who watch this will drop off at some point because it's a lot of content, and you get tired, I get tired. However, there will be a special offer at the end for people who watch until the end, where you can get a nice discount on one of my services. So consider staying until the end to learn what it is, and keep writing in chat. It is very weird to be talking to a camera like this to the computer, because I'm alone and in the room, so it kind of feels very strange, very disconnected experience. So your comments really matter a lot. So okay, so let's see what the questions were for the second criteria. Hello, Praveen. Yeah, so basically, if you're a member of a select group of professionals, where there is a selection process to join, where there are very strict requirements for somebody who joins, and then you're also doing something within the community, right? So you're either sharing knowledge, or maybe you're writing articles. You can potentially use something like this for the OC2 if it's non-paid, right? So hope this helps. Let me know, Praveen, if this made sense. Okay, so I have another question from Ima. Sorry, I have many questions. That's fine. Actually, that's the point of this. So my only disclaimer is that I'm not really able to give you like final answer on those things, right? So here I'm giving you generic information in the shape that also helps others who are listening to this. If you'd like more private consultation, email me and we can see what we can do. So for instance, reviewing talk proposals for Grace Hopper Celebration Conference in the US. Yeah, actually, I've had clients who used experience similar to this in the past. So for sure, it's important how you frame this, right, and how you describe it. But high level, yeah, we can, helping organize a conference, like organizing the conference, filtering out, reviewing paper proposals or things like that, this can for sure be used as part of your application. Okay. What next? Pitched an idea. I'm not sure what AW. I'm not sure what this is. So if you can clarify what this is, then maybe I can answer. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Praveen, you have a follow up. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So thank you. You're welcome. You can keep asking questions and yeah, stay tuned. So you've been invited as a judge, right? So again, please, like if you use abbreviations, please clarify what they are, so that I can answer precisely. But I assume it's a tech award, right? So yeah, being a judge, judging the work of the others can be used in OC. However, I would consider using not just the invitation, right? Because invitations are not real yet. Like the thing hasn't happened. You want to use something that has happened already, and this applies to everything. So public speaking or awards or conferences like this. So please consider using something that has already occurred. Okay, moving on. So there is the third criteria. This is criteria where people can highlight contributions to the growth of a product company. So this can be done as a founder, as a senior, employee, as an employee, right? So this one is about how you've grown the company. So in the past, I would say it was fairly. Usually, it was enough just to show your growth, your impact on the growth of the company. So it was sufficient to use more like internally facing documents. Currently, and I'll talk about rejection reasons as of 2025. So it's becoming much harder to get endorsed without having externally verifiable proof of your contributions to the growth of the company and to the growth of the industry, right? So this criteria is commercial. So commercial means numbers, right? So numbers can be, there can be different business metrics, but basically how your work has advanced the company and then through it the industry. So it would be easier to explain with examples, right? So this is something that we brainstorm with discovery session. 99% of my clients choose this criteria, and it's quite straightforward to get endorsed for it. At least it was until quite recently. I'm seeing a lot more rejections on this criteria in general on forums and chats if there is no external proof of your contribution. So consider finding something external too. And again, if you have questions or you want to share something, just write it in chat. Okay, so there was a clarification: African women in tech and AI. Yeah, for sure. So if in theory, yeah, I mean, it depends on the context of your whole application, right? Like where would you use it, how, what would it prove? But it sounds high level, like a relevant experience. I would evaluate it against other things that you can use. It's always a balancing act. So some document can be very valuable in one application and then can be completely like out of place in another. Maybe it's just not the strongest thing that you can use. Okay, so what else do we have? Letters of recommendation. I'll discuss later. There's a question about this. Helping applying as a researcher. It kind of depends on what specifically you do, what your career looks like. Could you please email me and we can see what we can do? In general, for anybody watching this who doesn't work in digital tech in a clear-cut product role, if you may be considering applying under some of the research routes, under other endorsement bodies like the Royal Academy of Engineering, or if you are considering, if you're an artist, for instance, or designer, and you are not sure that technician is the route for you, and you maybe want to go with the Arts Council or any other endorsement body, please email me. I will take a look at your profile, and I will be able to refer you to a trusted law firm that will be able to consult you on that, since I only consult on technician, but happy to forward contact information to you. So look forward to hearing from anybody who's not sure about technician or no, not technician. So the last criteria is the academic one. This is exceptional ability in the field by making academic contributions through research. So this is where people use their papers published in peer-reviewed journals, presentations at peer-reviewed conferences, awards they received for academic work, and reference letters from academic experts can be used here as really strong evidences. Again, if you have something like this, you can write it down. If you have questions, you can also ask. So the next part of the application is the recommendation letters. So here, while you're listening to this, maybe you can just brainstorm and write down. Don't share this chat. Write down a list of experts that you could ask for letters of recommendation if you were to apply for the visa. Let's say in 2 weeks, who would you ask? So this person needs to be a digital technology expert. Ask yourself, would this person be able to qualify for the visa? I mean, obviously, you don't have to be like, oh, probably you don't have enough for innovation criteria, or like you don't have enough for the fourth criteria, whatever. It's more of a rule of thumb. So you've listened to this webinar, maybe you've consumed other content on the visa, and you know basically the whole vibe of this visa, like what kind of people get it. Maybe you've seen the interviews on my channel. I do recommend you check out like real interviews with real people, so you get an idea of like who is the person who would get the visa, and this person should be your expert, right? This is like how you filter them. Also, they should have knowledge of your work for at least a year. So there needs to be a way for them to know like what they're writing about, which I think is pretty obvious, but you would be surprised how often this isn't obvious. And yeah, they cannot be your direct manager or like your friend, right? So there was a question about letters. Where was this? Yeah, so this one, like, can I use a letter from a person who was my manager? No, so direct managers are not eligible here. So just avoid direct managers. So yeah. Okay, moving on. There are two other documents that we can use. There is the CV and there is the personal statement. So the CV is pretty straightforward. It's not really the same CV that you send out when you're looking for a job. It's more detailed. It's 3 pages long, and normal CV is 1 or 2 pages. It's very detailed. It focuses on the things that technician cares about, like your public profile, your innovations, your mentorships, your publications. So all of the stuff needs to be in your CV. And for the personal statement, yeah, I mean, it is an essay explaining what you plan to do in the UK once you get the visa, what you have done already that makes you a global talent, and then like your motivation and your story so far. So it's a combination, right? I recommend that you write this after everything else. You don't start with it. I see people starting with it, and maybe like it helps you like to set the tone of like whatever you plan to do next, but it's just not efficient. Like you won't write a good letter without really having everything else ready and accomplished, right? So just you can maybe like do some bullet points if it helps you. If not, just skip it and you'll do it last, and that's really a very efficient way to do it. So the process of applying changed recently. Make sure that maybe you watch some of my older videos, like older content. There used to be a separate website for technician where you would first fill out the form on Home Office website, and then you'd go to this website, fill out another form there, and like upload documents to this website. However, now everything is done on Home Office website. You can find the link on Technician Visa Guide, and everything's done there. And then basically you do everything through one sort of place, and then the documents are emailed. Technician platform no longer exists. So let's talk about this. Is the technicalities of it, but I think I know it's kind of getting late, and you've been here for 40 minutes. Yay! So there is a lot to learn. There are a lot to remember, but I do want you to remember like the high level things that are important. Hopefully, this I'm kind of making some of those things clear. There are mistakes that you can make that can derail your application, and this is very important for people who are applying soon. Just make sure that you don't make those mistakes. It's very easy to mess things up, and then it's kind of a shame because you get rejected for a mistake that was done and maybe you didn't know about it, and then you get rejected, and then you get some feedback, but also like the big issue why you got rejected is not because your profile isn't good. It's more about you haven't done something correctly, and it's not a clean experiment, so you don't get the real information back. So one thing about like the letters are very important, right? I think picking their own experts is such a big problem that I see people just pick somebody who they worked with, some, I don't know, random person from their company who doesn't have an interesting career, who hasn't done anything, who isn't significant in the industry, and then they have them recommend them as a global talent. So this doesn't work. You really need somebody who is like a, I mean, not like they don't have to be a celebrity, but they have to be somebody. They have to have some sort of standing in the industry. And then also they need to talk about the correct things in the letters, right? So there are specific things that are expected in those letters. The letters need to be written specifically for a technician. They need to include specific ideas. So the bullet points for what should be in the letter are on technician visa guide, so you can check them out, you can share them with your experts. So they need to be very precise, but they need to explain why this person thinks that you are a global talent, right? So it shouldn't be just that you are a good professional, that you're a good worker, that you do your job well. It's not enough. Like, the level of doing a job well is skilled worker visa level. The global talent visa is kind of the next level of complexity, right? So the letter should explain why this person thinks that you are not just a skilled programmer, but like you are one of the up and coming most significant programmers in the industry, or maybe you are already one of the specialists in the field, right? So this is super important. There is another thing that is more recent and kind of causing big waves in this community. A lot of rejections coming in. Again, you can also check out technician visa forum to see examples of rejections and reasons why people get rejected. But basically, lack of credibility. So using AI to like generate the whole application. This happens, and I don't know what the strategy is. It doesn't really work. So, I mean, it's obvious when it's done. It causes the assessor to not trust the documents. I mean, if like a few documents they seem off, then the whole application can seem off, right? So, for instance, if the signatures on the letters are not verifiable, if there are no logs, right? If you're using DocuSign, if some of the documents are falsified and they're just not true, there are some weird things like links that don't work, or maybe some things in the wording where it seems like maybe you meant well, but it looks like you were trying to hide some information and present it some other way. Just weird, shady stuff like this. It doesn't work, right? So be honest in your application. So that's, I mean, big advice from me. So gaps in your story also, like if you have some career journey. I mean, I don't mean that you have to explain like if you didn't work for a year. I mean, if there is holes in your story. Holes is a better word here, right? So you are telling a story that you had some startup and they worked somewhere, and this is like what you say in your personal statement, and then your CV is similar, and then there is some letter that talks about some other stuff that was happening at the same time, and it just doesn't add up, or it seems like you were doing two startups at the same time. which maybe you were, but um, there should be a consistent story of you focusing, like, of you doing one thing, or like your full-time thing, and then maybe some side projects or like volunteering stuff that you do. But basically, focus on making your story make sense. That's really important. So for mandatory criteria, very often there is no external recognition of leadership. So there is like a person applies, they have no public speaking, they have no awards, they have no open source, they don't have anything, they just have their job and their salary. I mean, you can find lawyers who will tell you that this will work. They will make it work as soon as, as long as you work with them, that this will be enough. I guess to each their own, right? I have made videos on my YouTube channel that where I share that this is like the biggest issue that people have with their applications, right? So you can have magic thinking, all the power to you, but I don't think it's a workable strategy here unless you just want to try and you are okay with spending £500 and spending a whole bunch of time on all the documents, and you just want to apply with nothing in mandatory except for your like some work project that you've done. Most likely, most of those cases get rejected. However, sometimes you would hear about a case like this that doesn't get rejected. So I've heard of this. I can't say I've seen those cases recently, especially in the last year, maybe long ago, where the work that you do at your job is like super secret NDA and it's breakthrough research, and you're doing like amazing innovations at Facebook, and they're like changing the world. Sometimes it was possible to make a case like this, and like that's why you didn't have any public recognition, like your job prevented it. Maybe I would say for most people it's not a working strategy, right? So happy to discuss this at the call, during the call, to see like what do you actually need. I wouldn't say that like everybody needs the same level of publicity. No, I wouldn't say that like a developer, like a mid-level developer, needs to have the same level of publicity as founder of a multi-million-dollar company. No, I would say the expectations are different. So everything is in context. But I would say even a mid-level developer, the expectation is that they will have some public profile, they will have some name recognition. This is me again sounding like a broken record on videos. Like every webinar I do, I talk about it, and then people come to me with rejections, and this is the main reason. So yeah, anyway, I hope this is like the big takeaway from this application, from this webinar. So with innovation, it's basically not showing innovation, meaning that you think that you've shown it, but if so what happens is that you write about something and you just tell what this thing is. So the product is I don't know, XYZ, right? And then you don't really say anything else. So you have some screenshots and I don't know, a link, but you don't explain what the innovation is, and you assume that the reader will know what you meant, but they won't. Right? So if you don't explain what the innovation is, unless it's unbelievably obvious, unless it's like game-changing invention that everybody knows about, I wouldn't count on that. If you are in that category, you're lucky, and the road to the visa will probably be very easy for you. If your work is so obviously innovative and obviously great that maybe you have patents, maybe you have awards, maybe you have publications about you, but even with that, I would say it's still very helpful to explain specifically what makes your product innovative, right? So let me know if this makes sense. Let me know if you can hear me, because somehow the messages stopped. So are you still here, or is, maybe you've run out of questions? Yeah, let me know. Anyway, so the next thing is the lack of impact and recognition for the second criteria. So this is the public stuff, right? So the mentorship, the teaching, the community work that you do, the public speaking. If you don't explain, what kind of impact it had. Oh, thank you, Jessie. So you can hear me. Yes, great. So yeah, if you can't show how you've really had an impact on the community, I mean, people won't really care, right? So if you just say, I've mentored 3 people and that's it, I mean, yeah, good for you, but they want to see how this has impacted the digital technology space, like the tech world, let's say. Here, it is very difficult. Like, I'm not delusional, right? I know that it's very difficult to explain the impact of everything that you've done for, outside of your job. I know it's very hard. I also know that it's not always possible. Still, you need to really challenge yourself and come to this criteria with a thought. Okay, so how can I show impact? How can I show recognition? How can I show that this mentorship that I've done, this uh, course that I've created, this YouTube channel that I've started, that it had some meaning? So you can show it. The best way to show it with numbers, right? So you show stats, you show people coming into your events, you show people completing your course. This all matters. This all is easy to show, but also you still need a story. You still need some letters. You still need some kind of activity around what you do and recognition. And this really, really matters, right? So don't ignore this. Don't just post a screenshot from your mentoring, I don't know, dashboard and forget about it. It's not enough. We are not in 2022 when actually that wasn't enough even then, but it was still so much easier. Nowadays, you have to be super careful and you need to explain every little thing in your application. Thank you, everybody who confirmed. Okay, so for OC3, right, the problem is where people only use letters or self-written documents. So if you only have letters from your skip level manager or somebody in your company, and you don't have anything else, so ideally you would have external verification for your work. So there will be publications about your work, for instance, right? Or your work would be discussed in some publications or media mentions of the project that you work on. Again, here I know that it's not realistic for a lot of people who are, especially individual contributors at big companies, and I think that this is going to be a big challenge moving on with the visa, because in the past OC3 was quite straightforward. So many people got endorsed for just doing projects at work that had an impact on the growth of the company. So really solid projects. So you work on the thing, it's successful, it makes money for the company, maybe it mentioned on the company blog, and that's it. Nowadays, the bar is being raised higher and higher, where, to the point where I really worry about this criteria, to be honest, and how it will develop in the future with the current rejections that I've seen on chats and forums. It is concerning. The takeaway from this is that I think on a practical level, if you are ready to apply, if you've been thinking of applying for many years or some time, just apply now, or at least get a consultation with me, obviously. So we can see whether you have enough to apply, and we can see whether your experience for OC3 is still enough. It's hard to say, what kind of experience will be sufficient for OC3 in 6 months or 12 months. Right. So currently, I'm seeing people still make it work with very little external recognition. Maybe 1 or 2 projects would have it, the other one doesn't. So it is a balancing act. It will depend on what else is in your application. Right. So if your application is overall very strong, then the pressure on this is a bit lower. But yeah, it is what it is. Right. You need to show the impact not just on the company, but also on the industry. And then also showing team effort. So it should be your own thing. It shouldn't be just team doing something. So how is this metric tied to your work? So also people like to ignore rules. The rules are there for a reason. Technician Guide is very clear on the rules, that there should be no content that is not translated. There should be 3 pages per document. So all of this stuff is very clear. Don't ignore it. It's not a nice to have. It's a rule, right? So, I see. Still a lot of people remained. I like it, guys. I think people are excited about the offer. It's a lot of information. It's probably very confusing, but the best side is that you don't really have to do it alone. You can use, a lot of free resources online. You can use the free communities. it's up to you, right? So the preparation process, it takes time or money or both. So I mean, you always pay for it, right? So if you don't pay money, you will spend a lot of time. Like when I was applying myself, I didn't want to spend money, so I spent time and I paid with my time. Sometimes you do both, sometimes you pay a lot of money and waste a lot of time and you don't get any results, right? So ideally you just pay money and you get very good results and you save time, because time is more valuable than money. You don't have to do it alone. You have me, I can help you with this. I've already told you about my experience. So my experience has been, I have some experience working in tech. So I do understand how to talk to developers and understand technical experience, but also I do have business experience through my business projects, different from, startup, but then also to the consulting business that I'm doing here. This, so I've also been a mentor for people in tech. So I have a good understanding of the industry, basically, right? So this is my experience. I do think it sets me apart from a lot of people in the space who do it, who don't have like firsthand experience, right, with this. So my skills are not just in tech, but also in other things, right? So I have experience with writing and editing stuff, and a lot of this is writing, right? So I mean, all of this is writing, but this is good storytelling, this is editing. My experience with being an editor, with writing and publishing a book, obviously helped me. I'm also, I would say, quite successful as a blogger. So I have 2 YouTube channels. I do, LinkedIn. I have this dev2 blog mentioned here, which I haven't done in a while. But yeah, I do stuff. I post everywhere, and it's just something that I enjoy doing. And I'm also a serial immigrant myself, right? So I do know what you're going through. So you don't have to explain to me how much it sucks to be on a skilled worker visa. I was on it. It was awful. It was very stressful, and my motivation to get off from it was that I knew that tech layoffs were coming before they came, and I wrote about it on LinkedIn that like the layoffs are coming. It's going to get really bad. People made fun of this and said that I was a fear monger. It was great, that it's going to be great. Yeah, I mean, that those comments didn't age well. So I think you should make an effort to sponsor your own visa. So do this, right? So if you work in tech, I can help you. Just email me and we'll see whether you're eligible. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like some weird profession and you don't see it on the slides or you don't see it in the technician guide. It doesn't really mean anything. So think about it as a high level, right? So I'm informed, right? So I've interviewed not hundreds, dozens of people. I'm on all the Telegram chats, forums, and all of this stuff. And yeah, I'm obviously coaching people as well daily. So I went through the process myself. I prepared everything on my own. I was trying to save money. At the time, I wouldn't say that there existed so many options of people you could hire to help you. Currently, I think the market has become such a red ocean. Like every week I see a new coach, a new lawyer coming up who helps with the global talent visa, which is great. It's great to have more competition, but also it does make it difficult for people to choose a specialist, right? So we have here, we have comments. I paid for another coach a lot of money only to realize I have to do a lot of work too. So it's guidance plus your own effort, which I'm doing for over 3 years now. So I would say, yeah, even if you pay money, you still need to do some work. However, it is a bit concerning if you're working with somebody for 3 years on this. Question is, does it really have to be this long? But happy to discuss this in person if you want. So yeah, it is a balancing act. I think it's really important to look at people's reviews to see their track record, how long they have done something, what clients they have, like real client stories. And just be careful like who you trust, because there is so many people now. It is hard to choose, right? So I don't blame people for making the mistake. I pasted some reviews of my clients here on my website. You can see a lot more. So there are different ways how you can learn from me and work with me. I mean, first, you are doing already YouTube free content, hundreds of hours of free content. Like you can watch my videos for, I don't know, years. I mean, I've had clients who've watched my videos for 2 years before they booked a call. I mean, I'm happy that you enjoy watching my videos, but it's really maybe too much, too long. I mean, if you're interested, you've watched a couple of videos, you've watched the guide, you've seen this webinar, and you're like not really sure if you want to go for it, just book a call. Like really, it will save you months of research, of poking around Technation website and like other things. The next thing is the premium course, and I'll talk about it now. And this is where the offer will be, and then the coaching, right? So the one-on-one work with me. Somebody actually wrote something about my course. Okay, so after paying for this course, I still need time to prepare and haven't been able to get it. Hopefully this year. So yeah, I think I recommend getting the course once you've already, established your eligibility and you're ready to start gathering the documents. So that's a good moment to buy it. However, I've had some people who buy the course. It is a very affordable course, right? So I think it's a good investment. It's a real, still for what it is. So I think it's really kind of a good idea to get it if you are maybe kind of longer away from the application date, but you want to reverse engineer your process. So you want to see like what's required, and then once you know what is the end result, you can be like, oh, this is what I need to have at the end. How do I get there? You know what I mean? So this is also a way to get the course. However, you should understand that like the use case is that you get it and you apply, but you can also use it this way. If the rules change or something, I update the course, so you still have access for it, right? So consider buying the course before you need it, if you are aware of it, right? So how do I start working with people? Usually we start with discovery session. It's not a sales call. It's not like I don't have, any of those like 15-minute quick whatever calls. So if you have done a service business or a coaching business or something like that, most of you probably haven't because you work in tech. So the thing about it is that most of those calls are lead generation mechanism, right? So the specialist gets you on the call to establish a connection, to see if there is like a good match, and especially like for personal coaching. But for this as well, I mean, it is a very kind of close, like we work one-on-one privately with you. So the idea is that you establish a connection, they will look at your profile, they will tell you some information, and then the idea is that you get sold more services. Right? So nothing in the world is free. You might think that it's a free call, but very often it's not really free. So, it's a way for business to make sales, which is, it's a mechanism for getting leads. I don't like it. I don't use it. I've stopped doing it a long time ago. I will never go back to free discovery sessions. So they're paid, but they're great. They're like a really useful hour-long session that can save you a lot of time. We'll choose the criteria for you. We'll create a map, high-level map of your application, and we'll discuss the next steps, how we can work together, how you can work on your own, how you can also work with me, and we can discuss this. I'll get to your questions, but I need to do my sales. So I see your questions. Thank you for writing. So the premium course. I love it, right? So I created it last year because honestly, I got a bit tired of doing I had the strategy package. It was great, but it was very repetitive for me. So it was basically most of the session was the same content because the structure of the documents is the same for a lot of people. And there was very little personalized stuff in those sessions. I mean, it was still very useful, but it was tiring for me, for the client, because they had to consume so much information, so much content in like short period of time. We had those 3-hour calls where I had to like dump all of my knowledge on this poor client, and I have a lot of respect for my clients who sat through those calls. But basically, I've done a course now, so it is the result of hundreds of hours of one-on-one coaching. Actually, I haven't updated the slide. So over 400 professionals over the last 3 years. So actually, it's exactly 3 years that I've started doing this. So my first client was in September 2022. So what I've done with this course is it's 16 video lessons, right, with captions and transcripts that you can follow in your own pace. It is self-guided, right? So I won't be on a call with you. It's just you watching the videos. You can see the course plan. It is very detailed. Basically, what I recommend to people is getting the course, watching the videos, reading the transcripts, and really following what I'm saying there. So I think the key to success with this course is not just buying it and watching it, but actually applying what I'm saying. So you just take what I say and you do exactly that. And this will make your application better than 80% of applications, or 90, or 95 maybe, of people who apply like on their own without any external help. And here, I'm not just saying this with joy, or like, I really like the fact that in the past it was possible to just apply on your own, like I've done. And there was very little information, but there was some ways to find it somehow, to find some people on YouTube or some webinars. You could collect information and you could like figure it out. It took months, but at least you were able to understand what to do. I think at this point, honestly, I'm seeing that it's becoming almost impossible. So I get people coming to me who applied on their own. I mean, they wanted to save money, which is fair enough. They read the guide, they like spent hours or days on the forums, but they still misunderstood a lot of it, right? So the idea of this course was that I make this course as cheap as humanly possible, and you can get it, and you can get the value for like a tenth of the price of the strategies package, and you can just save time and you can increase your chances of success. So this is the offer. So I'm offering 50% of this course for webinar participants. So all you need to do, you need to email me. And this is my email, nadia@mittelhope.com. Where is the .com? Okay, sorry. Yeah, my slides today are a little bit weird, but you need to email me with the word webinar, right? So I know that you were here, and I'll send you a discount link, and you can use the course. So you get, if you're not applying yet, but you plan to apply in a reasonable future, if you're not planning to apply at all, like don't buy it. If you are reasonably sure that you're applying soon, you can get it. You can then get discovery session, right? Although I do recommend you get the discovery session first, because it is a session where we'll determine whether you need the course at all. But email me if you're interested, and we'll see what we can do. The next service that I do is my high-end, sort of premium one-on-one coaching, where I review your documents one by one. So the application is very big. It is up to 45 pages of documents. So you can imagine you have the CV, the personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation. You have up to 10 evidence documents that are grouped into 3 different categories or criteria. Every document is up to 3 pages long. They don't have to be, but they often are. So we end up with 44, 45, 40 pages of documents with a lot of content in them. And everything in the documents, it needs to be done in a very precise way. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was simpler. Like, I look very fondly on the days of 2022 when I was applying. I really thought it was so complicated, like it was impossible to figure out. But I think we didn't appreciate how. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't think it was ever like easy to get the visa, but it was just less contrived, I would say. It was, I would say, harder to make a mistake that would just cost you the entire application. It was harder to cause, kind of confusion or lack of credibility on the side of technician, So it was a different time. So again, this is why the content on my YouTube channel should be viewed with a grain of salt. Some things, I mean, the general spirit of it is still useful. Even stuff that is outdated is still inspirational, which is very important. However, you need to be careful with maybe getting too inspired by some stories of people who applied very long ago, that you might feel like didn't have the public recognition, and they still got it. I would say very often it's more complicated than that, and they actually did have something, but also the expectations are much higher, right? So this is where review package is really helpful, because I don't expect you as a software engineer to keep in mind like all of the requirements, all of the details, all of the red flags. Like, it's not your job, right? It's my job to know this and tell you what to do or not to do. And that's it. So this is why, you hire a personal trainer or a coach. So this is a review package. On my website, you can see I have a video where like I explain how this all works. So I recorded this specifically for YouTube so that it's clear, because I realize that like for you probably it doesn't mean anything, like this review package, whatever package, course, what is going on. Basically, you want to get the visa. That's your outcome, right? If you're very confused, still email me. Maybe I'll see how to explain it better. But basically, you want to understand first, do you need this visa? Is this visa for you? This is the first call. It's paid. However, if we work together later, I will discount the cost of the further coaching by this amount, right? So you don't really overpay. It's quite a, I would say, standard thing. You pay for the consultation, and then if you work with a specialist, you get, you don't pay twice for this. So after this, you decide if you are on a budget, you just get the course. And for a very small amount, you prepare on your own and you apply. Or if you have a better budget, we can work on the review together. We can do 1 round, 2 rounds. So there's flexibility in the final amount that you pay. This is it. So you can see the screenshots of some of my recent clients. So, people who were, so I'll just briefly say, so this is somebody who works in Agile, then a designer, AI researcher, and a product marketing manager, I think. Not marketing, product manager, program manager, something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, a manager basically. So all people with obviously tech experience, but very, very different. Right. And they all got the review package from me. So that we had the discovery, then they got the review, and the course is part of the review. So we went from, kind of start at point A, just having a call, and then point B, they get the visa. I can also help you appeal your rejection if you unfortunately applied. If you applied and unfortunately got rejected, please email me as well. I can maybe help you with the appeal. If you got rejected long ago and the window for the application for the appeal already passed, I realized I'm repeating words, but it's quite late, so I think I'm getting a bit tired. So I can help you with the new application, but we'll start with looking at your old one and seeing if you can salvage something from the old application, or do you need to apply at all? Maybe it wasn't wise for you to apply at this stage at all, right? So we can examine that as well. So this is my contact information. There is LinkedIn. It is weird because I'm not really getting a lot of the messages. Even if I sometimes add people, I can't add everybody on LinkedIn. And then you can't really message me if you are not my friend. But then even if I add people, sometimes they can't reach me. So email is the best way to reach me. You can leave a comment here on YouTube as well. But just shoot me an email. I try to respond within 24 hours to all emails, sometimes faster. So with any questions, you can do it there. And yeah, please do support the YouTube channel. Watch some videos, leave some comments. It does help with the visibility, and it helps other people see this content. I have done a lot of free content here on YouTube to help people who are in a position where I was, who didn't want to hire a lawyer. Maybe they didn't have the money, or they just wanted to do it on their own. I think it's really cool if you can just do it on your own. And I wish everybody could be successful, but yeah, it is a wild world. Basically, it is complicated. So time for a Q&A. Let's see what you've written so far. And I think I'm done with all my content. Yeah. Okay, I'm doing great. Thank you, Jesse. Okay, so Royal Academy of Engineering. So yeah, please email me if you need help with Royal Academy of Engineering. I can refer you to a law firm who can help you with this, right? So just email me. And yeah, Praveen, wish I could have your course earlier. Thank you for detailed feedback. Thank you so much, Praveen, for watching this. And I do feel sometimes when I'm reviewing somebody's documents, or I'm talking to somebody that I wish we talked earlier, but information comes to all of us at the exact moment, right? So it is the way it's supposed to be. There is always a way you can always try again, right, with the application. Yes, it is extra cost, it is extra time, but you can try. So there is no limit on how many times you try. So don't give up if you've been rejected before. I've helped a lot of people. I've helped people appeal their rejections if they were fresh, but I've also helped a lot of people prepare new applications. Sometimes somebody maybe applied for 4 times, 6 times, and we've been able to turn it around. So it's never really the end if you are, if you're eligible, obviously. So, okay. So, thank you. Okay, so drop your questions now if you have anything remaining on anything related to anything that I've said. Okay, I'll just look at other at other questions. Okay, let's look at this. So here, if you're if you're a CTO and you need letters from founders, it depends, right? What is the letter about? Where will it go in your application? So sometimes we get letters if somebody's a CTO, so they're already sort of at the top, right? They're C-level. So the founders are a logical choice. You can also ask investors or advisors. You can also get letters from people in the industry, experts in the industry, some tech leaders or business founders who maybe worked with you somewhere or like mentored you or you interacted with them somehow. Depending on your profile, sometimes it's not advisable to get a letter from a mentor. Maybe you don't want this to create this like dynamic that the expert is above you, right? Maybe you want to be shown as an equal, or maybe ideally somebody they also look up to in some way. So everything needs to be done very carefully with the application, depending on whether you're going for promise or talent. So yeah, see, it's it's complicated. Okay, so is a new project management qualification or attaining chartered status beneficial for trying out this route? So I would say qualifications. So in the past, there was this criteria. It was called continuing education. People used it to show that they were continuing learning new stuff. They were developing their skills, right? It was discontinued, right? So currently there is no place in the application really for taking a course or getting some qualification. So it doesn't really add much to the application. So yeah, hope this answers it. Okay. Okay, so is it true that all evidences under OC2 must be in-person activity? So that's a good question. So it's related to the recent, somewhat recent update about mentoring, right? So if you're using mentorship evidence, what I can say for sure is that it has to be a structured program with curriculum, and there needs to be a selection process for mentors and mentees, and there should be outcomes. So it should be organized, it should be formal. It cannot be like ad hoc mentoring on ADP list or whatever. In terms of the that have to be online and in person, the guide says it has to be primarily in person. I'm yet to see, send me links if you've seen this on forums or somewhere. I'm yet to see rejections where the program was perfectly suitable and it was significant, it was structured, there was a curriculum, but it was online and that's why it got rejected. It's really hard to see evidences like this because, maybe this wasn't the best for the application. However, the rest of the application was great. So it just still got endorsed because everything is evaluated holistically, right? Only if you fail, then you get advice and then you get feedback on every evidence. Most evidence, not every. So if you get rejected, maybe you'll get comments on your mentorship not being suitable. But to me, I think what you need to keep in mind, the most significant is not the format. It is more about what it is. Like, it needs to be a serious, significant program. And yeah, I think it's fair now that a lot of them will be in person actually, right? So if it's a boot camp, a lot of them are in person now, or if it's some kind of professional training that you do, it will also be in person actually, right? So a lot of this is in person now after COVID. So yeah, in terms of other stuff, I mean, there are stuff there that cannot be in person. So I wonder what you're referring to. But if it is teaching, for instance, I've had people use online teaching very successfully. But I mean, focus on the impact more than the online offline aspect of it. Um, okay, so I'm checking the questions. I would send an email because I'm a lecturer in computer science department. I code and build software products and then train used how to code. So this is actually interesting, right? So it can be a case where we talk about your academic credentials or contributions. Probably you also have, obviously you have some academic credentials there, maybe you've done research, and then the stuff that you do for free on the site can be the OC2. So this can work. External verification for staff. So yeah, I mean, if you provide screenshots from GitHub, for instance, if it's a work project, then it's a screenshot, right? So you can't provide the link to it because it is a private GitHub. And usually people obfuscate everything that is sensitive, right? So you just want to show that you've done something. But here, when we're talking about external verification of impact, this is usually publications in industry media mentioning the project and its impact. Okay, what else? I think okay, let me see other questions. Okay, so let me just send the link here to my discovery session. So there are some questions about the prices. So yeah, if you want to book a discovery call, this is the link, or you can just go to my website, beetlehub.com. If the link is not clickable, I hope it is. So you can go there and you can go to visa services and there will be discovery call. So my initial consultation, I mean the discovery session, it is paid for the consultation, right? So the price will change. So it doesn't make sense to, I guess, to announce it here because this is recorded. Currently it's £229. It might go up or down. Probably not down, to be honest. So you can book this call. It includes my preparation, right? So you will be sending me over some documents that I'll require, and I prepare a evaluation document for you based on my own framework of how to evaluate the cases. When it comes to the coaching, to the review, right? So is it hourly? I do know that some lawyers actually charge per hour, which is interesting because then the incentive is to take a lot of time to work on your case. My incentive is the opposite. My incentive is to finish the case as quickly as possible and to get you the visa as quickly as possible. So I charge per project, right, per result. So the review is a specific charge. The price depends on the, how many rounds you get. So for specific pricing, I do recommend that you email me and we can discuss it there because yeah, it depends on the rounds and this will probably change. So, okay. So, thank you for answering all my questions. Yeah, thank you for asking them. It's much more fun if there are questions. I do like it. So, yeah, with me, the first call is sort of hourly, but it's not really hourly, right? It's a service. So, there is prep and there is service. I would say I've learned that lawyers charge much more for this. So, some lawyers charge £400 for one consultation. So, here's something. But I would say probably 100 to 100 pounds is around what people charge for this kind of session. I mean, outside of the free calls that you can get where, you get the free assessment. Right. So I'll wait for more minutes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm not sure if any other questions are coming in. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Okay, I'll just share something useful. So if you're preparing for your application, if you're thinking whether to apply or not, I do recommend that you, on my YouTube channel, you open the live stream tab, and you can search for videos, video interviews regarding your profession, right? So you can type in software engineer or researcher or manager or marketer, and you can see whether I interviewed people of your specialty, and very likely that I have, or you can just look for somebody similar. And I do recommend you listen to the story. You get a general idea of how they've done it, what is their approach, what documents they used. And it's also just inspiring. And also I have a playlist again on my channel with I call it the tutorial. It includes a bunch of explainers, basically, of how to apply on your own. So I've just dropped it here on the chat. This is, yeah, I'm not sure how useful this is. But yeah, basically you can find it on the main page of my channel. So it's called the visa tutorial. It includes a bunch of lessons that you can go through to get a basic idea. It is, I would say a lot of it is fairly old content. So I would just watch it like for high level understanding, not use it as a specific guide to write your documents. For this, I recommend the course because videos are older and getting a bit outdated. The course I keep up to date. So I recently recorded an update because some rules changed and I wanted to replace one part of the lesson, right? So the course is where you get more up-to-date information, and the course is yeah, I'll just drop it here. Okay, I'm seeing there are no more questions, which means that either people are very tired or I've answered everything. So yeah, this is the course. You can check it out. And remember about my offer, if you email me with the word webinar, just saying that you were this webinar, I will give you 50% off. I don't really do discounts on my calls or like personal coaching because it is my time. I can't get it back. But I do like giving discounts on the course because it is a digital product. I recorded once and people can watch it as many times as they want. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions. Thank you guys for joining. Let me know in the comments whether this was useful. Share this with your friends if they're planning to apply for the visa. Connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, and email me if you have more specific questions. I do hope to see you on my future live streams. And I wish you a great evening, night, and the rest of your week. And good luck with your applications. Bye bye.